Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us. Today we'll be taking a look at the fundamental limits of life itself.
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah, sounds pretty intense.
It is, and to help me break down this massive topic,
Okay.
we have with us again
Hi.
an expert in the field.
Happy to be here.
So to kind of set the stage here for what we'll be talking about,
Yeah.
we have this super interesting article
Okay.
from the Santa Fe Institute,
Oh, very cool.
and it's titled, "From Artificial to Extraterrestrial, Scientists Reveal the Fundamental Limits of Life."
Ooh, that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, but I think the title really kind of
Yeah,
gets the heart of what we're going to be talking about.
it does.
Which is,
Yeah.
we always think about life on Earth,
Right.
but what about life out in the cosmos?
Exactly. And
And what could those boundaries be?
yeah, what are the possibilities, but what are the limits? What
Yeah.
are the absolute no-nos?
Exactly.
Like, what can't life do?
No matter where it is.
Are there any hard limits?
Yeah.
And what's so cool about this article
Yeah.
is that these scientists aren't just speculating, they're using actual data from all different kinds of fields,
Yeah,
like
thermodynamics,
genetics, you name it,
information theory.
to try to actually pinpoint what is possible for any living thing,
Yeah.
even aliens.
It's mind-blowing to think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
So I guess I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Sure.
Are there actually universal rules that apply to all life forms, no matter how bizarre they might seem?
That's exactly what this article suggests.
Wow.
It's really changing the game for how we think about life in general.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And it's all thanks to this
Yeah.
really fascinating study from the Santa Fe Institute
Uh-huh.
that was just published in the journal Interface Focus.
I mean, they really seem to be onto something here.
They do.
That-
It's like discovering a secret code,
Oh, okay.
a universal blueprint for life.
We're talking about a universal logic that governs all life,
Yeah, a set of rules
no matter what.
that apply everywhere.
Give me an example.
Okay, so one of the most fundamental constraints they talk about is this idea of entropy.
Entropy. So, like,
Right.
that's like things tending towards disorder.
Exactly. It's the idea that everything in the universe eventually breaks down, decays, falls apart.
Right.
But living things,
Yeah.
they have to fight against that.
So are you telling me that even alien life, no matter how strange, can't just be like
Yeah.
a big chaotic blob of energy?
Right.
Like there have to be systems in place to create some kind of order.
Absolutely. They have to have ways to combat entropy to maintain their structure, their complexity.
Okay, so it's like life is constantly battling against falling apart.
Exactly. A constant struggle against the forces of chaos.
Wow. That's a really cool way to think about it. Even the simplest life forms are fighting this cosmic battle just to exist.
It's a profound insight.
Yeah. But the article also mentioned cells being a universal requirement for life. Why is that?
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
Cells with their little compartments and specialized environments,
Uh-huh.
they're crucial because they allow for specific functions to happen without disrupting the whole system.
Right.
It's like having different departments in a company,
Okay. Yeah.
each one focusing on its own tasks.
So no matter what kind of crazy alien life form we can imagine,
Uh-huh.
we're still talking about something that's built from cell-like structures.
It seems that way.
And that even applies to if we're trying to create artificial life in a lab.
Exactly. Even in synthetic biology, where scientists are building biological systems from scratch, they still rely on these cell-like compartments. It's like the fundamental unit of life.
The cosmic rule book says you got to have cells.
It seems so.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got entropy busters, we've got the cell as a universal building block. What other kind of intriguing examples did they uncover?
Well, another key constraint they highlighted is the need for decision-making systems.
Oh, decision-making.
Yeah, all life needs a way to process information and react to its environment.
Okay, so does that mean that all alien life forms need brains like us?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
While a centralized brain like ours is one way to do it,
Uh-huh.
the basic requirement is just some system for receiving and responding to information.
Got it.
Even single-celled organisms exhibit this.
Really?
Yeah, they react to changes in light, temperature, nutrients.
Wow. So even single-celled organisms are making decisions?
In a way, yes.
That's incredible.
They're processing information and responding accordingly.
Makes you wonder, where do we draw the line? Is that a basic form of intelligence?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that sparked a lot of debate among scientists and philosophers.
I bet.
What's clear from this research is that information processing is a key characteristic of all life,
Yeah.
no matter how simple or complex.
Okay, so we've got entropy busters. We've got the cell as a universal building block, and we've got the need for decision-making.
It's starting to look like a blueprint for what life must be,
Yeah.
wherever it exists.
It really does feel like we're starting to piece together this blueprint
Yeah.
for what life has to be.
Yeah, and what's amazing is that scientists have actually predicted some of these complex features of life in the past.
Hold on, really?
Yeah.
So they were able to predict things about life
Accurately.
before we even knew they were true.
Even before they had the evidence.
Doesn't that just reinforce this whole idea that there are these fundamental rules at play?
It absolutely does. It strengthens the argument that there's an underlying logic to life itself.
That's incredible. Okay, give me an example.
Sure, so one fascinating example is Erwin Schrödinger.
Erwin Schrödinger.
Yeah, the famous physicist.
Okay.
Back in the 1940s.
Yeah.
He predicted the existence of what he called aperiodic crystals.
Aperiodic crystals.
Yeah, which we now know is information molecules like DNA. Isn't that incredible?
He predicted DNA
Yeah.
before we even knew what DNA was.
Exactly.
That's mind-blowing.
It shows a deep understanding of the principles governing life.
Wow. Okay, so does this mean that the structure of life is somewhat predictable?
It seems so.
Wow. And are there other examples like that?
Oh yeah, there are other examples too.
Like what?
For instance, mid-century simulations
Okay.
accurately predicted the role of parasites in complex ecosystems,
Real?
long before we had the tools to fully understand those dynamics.
So they predicted parasites too.
They did.
Wow. So these successes in predicting life's features really point towards this deeper underlying logic that governs all living systems.
Yeah, it's like a universal code waiting to be cracked.
It's almost like there's this cosmic cheat sheet for how to build life.
Yeah, and we're just starting to decipher it.
Okay, so besides these things, are there any other major limitations that the researchers highlighted?
Well, one fascinating area they touched on is the role of information processing in evolution.
Okay.
Their research suggests that there might be fundamental limits on how much information a lineage can actually acquire over time.
So a limit to how complex life can become?
It's a possibility they're exploring.
Okay.
They propose that the rate at which information can be incorporated into a lineage might be constrained by things like mutation rates, the availability of new ecological niches.
So you're saying there could be a point where life hits an information ceiling, where it simply can't evolve any further.
It's a fascinating concept to consider.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like
heavy.
there's this ultimate limit to complexity.
Yeah.
Dictated by the nature of information and evolution itself.
It's almost like we're peering into the engine room of life itself.
Right,
Trying to understand the gears and levers that make it all tick.
Exactly. And the more we uncover about these limits, the more we understand not only about life on Earth, but also about the potential for life beyond our planet.
I'm already starting to see things differently.
It's a real paradigm shift.
Yeah. But before we get too lost in the cosmos,
Yeah.
let's bring it back down to Earth for a sec.
Okay.
I mean, this research has some pretty big implications for artificial life too, right?
It does.
I mean, if there are these universal rules,
Right.
wouldn't that affect what we can create in the lab?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Understanding these limits
yeah.
could really guide the development of artificial life in some really profound ways.
Okay.
It could help us set realistic goals for what's achievable,
Yeah.
avoid dead ends,
Yeah.
and even inspire entirely new approaches to synthetic biology.
So instead of trying to create life that breaks all the rules, we should be focusing on understanding and working within those rules.
Exactly.
It's like we need to learn the rules of the game before we can actually play it.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It's like, trying to build a house.
Yeah.
You can have all the creativity in the world,
Yeah.
but you still have to work within the constraints of physics, engineering principles.
So by understanding these universal rules of life, we can not only understand what's possible, but also what might be impossible.
Exactly.
Even with all of our technological advancements.
Right.
Wow, this deep dive is already changing how I think about life.
It's powerful stuff.
But we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
So let's pause here for a moment and come back to explore how this research might shape the future of both astrobiology and artificial life. Okay, so we're back and ready to dive even deeper into these fundamental limits of life.
Yeah.
This whole idea of a cosmic rule book is pretty wild.
It really is. It challenges our assumptions about what life can be.
Yeah, I mean, we've been focusing a lot on the science, but
Right.
this research also has some big implications for how we think about the search for extraterrestrial life.
Absolutely.
And even, the ethics of creating artificial life here on Earth.
Yeah, that's a crucial point.
Like now that we're starting to understand this blueprint of life,
Yeah.
we have to decide what we're going to do with that knowledge.
Right. It's not just about understanding anymore. It's about responsibility.
Exactly.
And then how we use that knowledge.
So where do we even begin?
Well, on the astrobiology front,
Yeah.
it's definitely changing how we think about what alien life might look like.
Okay.
We're no longer just looking for something that resembles life as we know it.
Right.
We're searching for signs of those universal principles at work, no matter what form they take.
So instead of just looking for little green men,
Right.
we're looking for entropy busters, cell-like structure,
Exactly.
information processing.
We're looking for those core principles.
Wow.
The fundamental ingredients of life.
Okay. So we're broadening our definition of life based on these universal constraints.
Exactly. We're widening the net, casting a wider net. It's a much more exciting way to think about the search for extraterrestrial life.
It's like we're not just passively searching anymore.
Yeah.
We're actively shaping how we look for life beyond Earth.
Absolutely.
Using this deeper understanding of what life actually is.
Precisely.
And as our technology gets better and better, we're able to detect, subtler and subtler signs of these universal principles.
Right. We can see things we couldn't see before.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's incredible. But what about artificial life?
Yeah.
I mean, this research has some pretty profound implications for that field as well.
It definitely does. Understanding these fundamental limits could revolutionize synthetic biology.
So it's like, instead of trying to create something that completely defies the laws of nature,
Right.
we should be focusing on understanding and working within those laws.
Absolutely. It's about working with nature, not against it.
So it's like we're learning the rules of the game before we even try to play it.
That's a great way to put it. By respecting those boundaries, we can potentially avoid unintended consequences.
Right, because, I mean, we've seen what can happen when invasive species, disrupt ecosystems.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't want to accidentally create some kind of artificial life form that could wreak havoc on our planet.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
We need to be incredibly careful and responsible.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But this brings up a whole other set of questions, ethical questions.
Absolutely.
If we can engineer life, what are our obligations to our creations?
That's a question that's going to become increasingly important
right.
as our capabilities in synthetic biology advance.
Yeah. I mean, what if we create life forms that are capable of, sensing, responding, maybe even evolving?
Right. Do we grant them certain rights or protections?
Wow.
It's a question we need to start thinking about now.
It's like science fiction is becoming reality.
In a way, it is.
Are we talking about robot rights here?
It's not that far-fetched.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a conversation that needs to involve scientists, ethicists, policymakers, the public at large.
Everyone.
We need to approach this new frontier with a lot of care.
This is a lot to process. We've gone from, the building blocks of cells to the potential for alien life to the ethics of creating artificial intelligence.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around.
It really is.
But I think the key takeaway here is that we're living in an era of extraordinary scientific discovery.
Yeah.
We're on the cusp of unlocking some of life's greatest mysteries.
Yeah.
But with that knowledge comes a profound responsibility.
To use it wisely.
Absolutely.
I completely agree. And honestly, this conversation has me feeling both excited and a little bit overwhelmed.
I understand.
Where do we even go from here?
Well, I think the next step is to continue asking those questions.
Yeah.
To keep exploring these new frontiers with both curiosity and caution.
That's a good point.
Yeah. We need to stay informed.
Yeah.
Engage in open dialogue. And make sure we're using this knowledge to create a better future for all.
All right. So we're back for the final part of our deep dive. Yeah. And honestly, this whole conversation has really got me thinking about life a lot differently.
I know, it's pretty profound stuff.
It's like we've been able to see this whole tapestry of life,
yeah,
woven together by these universal rules, these cosmic constraints.
It's amazing to think about.
That apply everywhere in the universe.
Yeah, we're moving beyond just cataloging the diversity of life.
Yeah.
And trying to understand the underlying principles.
The unifying principle
that connect everything.
It's making me think about the search for extraterrestrial life in a whole new way.
Right.
We're not just looking for something that looks or acts like us anymore.
Exactly.
We're looking for signs of these fundamental principles.
Yeah, the underlying rules,
But
no matter how strange or unexpected,
no matter what,
those signs might be.
Like we talked about how cells are likely a necessity.
Right.
So that means that even alien life, no matter how bizarre, probably still relies on some form of compartmentalization.
It seems likely.
Like there needs to be a way to organize in separate functions.
Yeah. To maintain order and complexity.
So no giant blobs of pure energy floating through space.
Probably not.
Oh, man. I was kind of hoping for that.
Sorry, disappoint.
So even energy-based life forms would still need some way to control and direct that energy.
Exactly.
Through, like, organized structure.
Like, think about it.
Okay.
Even the most chaotic-looking systems often have an underlying order, a set of rules that govern their behavior.
So even if we find life that seems totally alien to us, there's still this underlying framework, this set of rules that they have to play by.
Precisely, like a cosmic rulebook for life, and everything has to follow the guidelines.
Even aliens?
Even aliens.
Okay, so these rules might seem limiting at first, but I'm starting to see how they actually open up a ton of possibilities for life.
Absolutely.
Like how?
Well, think of it like this.
Okay.
You're a musician with an unlimited number of instruments and sounds.
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming.
Right, like where do you even start?
Exactly. But if you have a limited set of instruments, you have to get creative.
You have to work within those constraints.
Right. You have to think outside the box to make something beautiful.
So in the case of life, these universal constraints could actually be what drives the incredible variety that we see, both on Earth and potentially elsewhere?
They force life to adapt, to innovate, to find new solutions.
It's like evolution is a master problem solver.
It is.
Constantly pushing against those limits.
To find new and amazing ways to thrive.
Wow, this whole deep dive has really changed how I think about life.
It's a paradigm shift.
It's not just about what we see on this planet anymore.
Right.
It's about understanding the bigger picture.
Yeah, the universal principles that shape everything.
And that understanding shapes how we approach the search for extraterrestrial life.
Absolutely.
We're not just looking for something that looks or acts like us anymore.
We're looking for those fundamental signs.
Exactly.
The hallmarks of life.
Instead of searching for little green men,
right,
we're searching for entropy busters, cell-like structures.
Exactly.
Information processes.
We're looking for the evidence of those processes.
It's like we've gone from searching for a needle in a haystack to understanding the physics of haystacks.
That's a great analogy.
It feels like we're on the edge of this whole new era of discovery.
Yeah.
Both in terms of understanding life on Earth and finding life beyond our planet.
It's an incredibly exciting time to be alive.
I can't wait to see what we discover next.
Me too. The possibilities are endless.
Well, this brings us to the end of our deep dive.
It's been a fantastic journey.
Into the fundamental limits of life.
We've explored so much.
We talked about the science of these constraints.
The potential for alien life.
The potential for alien life.
The ethics of artificial life.
So much.
It's been a great discussion.
I hope everyone listening has maybe a new sense of wonder.
Yes.
And a deeper appreciation for the incredible complexity of life.
In all its forms.
Absolutely.
It's truly remarkable.
And this is really just the beginning of the conversation.
It is. There's so much more to learn.
There's so much more to discover.
So keep asking those questions.
Keep learning.
Keep exploring.
Keep diving deep into the mysteries that surround us.
Absolutely. The universe is full of wonders.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
It's been a pleasure.